Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. I did not show my dad my notes, but my foul shot story is in my talk a little later. Just letting you know. But I'm glad he brought that up. So today, I'm talking about how perfection kills excellence, but progression builds excellence. So you have to have the strength to progress. You can never be perfect. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So again, my name's Ethan. I'm 26 now. I'm not 12 anymore. I'm 26 years old. I'm from this area, born and raised in Waynesville, North Carolina. I now live in Lenore, North Carolina, which you don't know where that is. It's near Hickory. So if you're near that area, I'd love to connect with you because there's not a lot of churches like Overflow or things like this in that area. But we're trying. That's why I'm there. Not yet. I have a beautiful wife named Chelsea and a little dog named Tater. He's a lab. I love him. Those two are the highlight of my life. All right. We've heard that practice makes perfect, but I think that is the wrong way to say it. I think it should be that progress makes excellence. Practice doesn't make perfect because perfection does not exist. The only thing perfect in this world is Jesus Christ himself. You can't be perfect. You just have to accept that fact right now. You cannot be perfect, but you can be excellent. And I hope with what I share today, you'll learn how to do that. So I'm going to talk about the symptoms of chasing perfection, how defeat leads to excellence, how there is biblical evidence that defeat leads to excellence, and how the Bible tells us exactly how to be an excellent man. I want to start towards the end and work our way back. So I think Titus 1 is a great example of how to be an excellent man. Paul says in Titus 1, 6 through 9, an elder must be blameless, faithful to his wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild and disobedient. So sorry, Dad, that me and Emily were wild and disobedient sometimes. But we got back on track. Since an overseer manages God's household, he must be blameless. There that word is again. We'll get back to that word in a little bit. Not overbearing, not quick-tempered, not given to drunkenness, not violent, not pursuing dishonest gain. Rather, he must be hospitable, one who loves what is good, who is self-controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. He must hold firm to the trustworthy message as it has been taught, so that he can encourage others by sound doctrine and refute those who oppose it. I think that's a pretty good way to describe an excellent biblical man. What do you guys think? Yes. But that sounds pretty intimidating. The word blameless shows up twice in there. To me, that sounds like perfection, but it's not, and we're going to get into that. We're going to circle back to that later, but I've got some stuff to cover before then. The first step in becoming a blameless leader or elder is knowing the symptoms of chasing perfection. This is important. This is what could be happening in your life right now if you're chasing perfection and not progress. The guy who won't start anything because he cannot guarantee it will be flawless. That could be a business. That could be a small group. Anything outside of your comfort zone. If you don't try to start it because you're scared it's not going to be perfect, that's a symptom. The man who beats himself up over the same struggle he's had for years. The easy one's lust, right? I mean, we're all men. Statistically, we've all had lust in our life. That's a symptom. If you beat yourself up over and over and over. The man who refuses to lead because he doesn't feel qualified. Well, I'll tell you now, ain't none of us qualified. Only Jesus is qualified. It's Jesus in you and Holy Spirit in you that is qualified. So that's a symptom. The man who isolates himself because of shame instead of owning his defeat and learning from it. We see that a lot. This one is for the leaders in the room. Chasing perfection could look like not trusting younger generations to step up and operate at a high level in your ministry, company, whatever, because you're scared they're not going to do it your way. That could be a symptom of chasing perfection. That's for the leaders. And I'll say right now, there's a lot of gray hair in here. There's not a lot of young men. So I think we've got some work to do on that, don't we? And I'm here to help with that. I'm young for now. The lie is perfection equals excellence. That's not true. We know that. The cost of trying to be perfect is burnout, paralysis, isolation, and spiritual stagnation. You simply cannot chase perfection and become a leader like Paul is talking about in Titus. It is not possible. You can't do it. You have to chase progress. Well, what does that look like? Athletes are a great example of chasing progress and not perfection. They have to fail over and over and over and over. If you think of the Olympics, if you think any of your college pro teams, everyone on that team had to fail hundreds, if not thousands of times. They were defeated. And again, my basketball story, my dad talked about background on that. I was on a competitive basketball team. In every practice, there was about 12, 13 of us. We shot foul shots at the end. And if you missed one, you had to run it down and back. If you missed two, you had to run a suicide. That's a lot of running when you're on a middle school team and there's 12 of you. That could be 12 suicides in one day. And if you don't know what a suicide is, it's just you run. It's terrible. Call it a suicide for a reason. I was the worst. They knew when I was on the line, I was going to miss and we were going to run. And I just wasn't good at it. I was like Shaquille O'Neal on the line. It was terrible. But I became determined after that season to get better, and I did. I shot over and over and over. Sometimes I couldn't even hold my arms up because I shot the basketball so many times. And I was defeated many times. When I first started, I wasn't perfect, but I was chasing progression. I went over and over and over and over again. And by the time I hit high school, I was shooting about 85% from the foul line, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that is an example of where I didn't want to be perfect, but I wanted my teammates around me to trust me. I wanted them to trust me on the line. And progress through being defeated and failing and being in suffering of running, suicides all the time, got me to that point. And if you regularly go to the gym, you know that defeat is the goal. You push yourself until failure to find your baseline, then you keep hitting that mark until it gets easier. More reps, more weight, more miles, whatever you're into in your fitness journey, you know, like you have to push yourself or you're not going to go anywhere. And you get to a point of failure, and that's not a bad thing. That's progression. If you fail in physical activity, you're actually doing better. You're getting better, especially in cardio. You don't want to hurt yourself, though. You have to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere as a 12-year-old shooting those foul shots. I had a great dad to teach me how to do that, thankfully. But it takes that repetition over and over. Excellence is built through reps, refinement. It's not perfect from the start, but it is progression. And, of course, there's biblical evidence to back this up. In James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything." The word perseverance, by the way, means to remain under a heavy load. There's kind of a funnel here. I work in marketing. All we talk about is funnel in marketing. You have the top, and then it gets narrow down here. And in marketing, the top is like a social media ad, and then down here is a customer. So the top of the funnel is defeat. I didn't just start in the gym being perfect. I had to do it over and over and over. I was defeated over and over and over. And in life, you're going to be defeated. God's not going to make you be defeated, but it's crazy out there, y'all. I mean, everything's expensive. Being an adult is hard, I've learned. It's terrible. I got to go to work every day. I got to pay taxes. I got to do all these things. It's tough. Life is tough. That's suffering, right? It's defeat. You can come home defeated. You can laugh. It's okay. My dad, great. He did awesome raising me and Emily, but he made it easy. It's not easy out there. My mom and dad made it easy on us. And I mean, they, you know. Yeah, I know. Hey, you know, my father-in-law said this. He said, a wife will give you gray hair, kids will make it fall out. And he's bald, so I'm getting there. I'm getting the gray hairs right now. So life's hard. You suffer in life. God's not going to strike you down to teach you a lesson. He didn't strike me down and make me bad at foul shots. I was just bad at them. Life happens. But whenever you go through these trials, and it could be something funny, like what I've talked about, but life is hard. You could be struggling with something serious. That is what sets you up for perseverance. If you get through that season. And there's many men in here to help you through that. Sometimes, like we watched the video, you're the guy crawling. Sometimes you're the dude on the back. You flip-flop. You might be good right now and not in a season of suffering. Maybe you should be the guy on the ground carrying somebody else to the finish line. Next up, another verse, Romans 5:1-4. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith in this grace in which we now stand. And we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, defeat, right? What we just talked about. Because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So there's another part of that funnel. You have suffering, life is terrible, it's hard out there. You get through that, you remain in faith through that. Next part is character and perseverance and character. What does character mean? Character means to have a moral backbone, integrity, and proven reliability. That's what character means. So you go through all these trials, and you remain in the Word, and you remain faithful, and you know that you're going to get through it, and you remain in your small groups, and you talk about it with people, and you get through life together, and then you begin to build perseverance, which means you can sustain a heavy load, just like a 140, 160-pound man on your back, and then you start to develop character. Do you see that progression? Suffering, perseverance, character. It happens throughout. It could be your whole life. It could be parts of your life. That is the pattern. Suffering, defeat leads to perseverance, which leads to character. I had a great childhood. It was easy. So I wasn't suffering in my childhood, but now in my adult life, when I'm responsible for my family, I'm responsible for my wife, I'm responsible for my job, I'm responsible for all these different things, that could set up potential defeat. And it has. I lose every day. I'm in a government job. I won't even go there. It's the government, okay? You try to change something, and they're like, well, that's not what we've done the past 60 years. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why we're not going anywhere, But again, you could be struggling with pornography, alcohol, serious things. And we're here for you. And if you isolate like one of the symptoms of perfection, then that sin just spreads, it spreads because it's in dark. You got to find a group of men to be able to be open with these things, because as soon as you open that up and the light comes in and you have men speaking into you, that stuff starts to go away. And it's through Jesus and the Holy Spirit, but that group of accountability partners is really important. All right, let me get back on track. How we doing? Good? Understand? Yes, sir. All right. Next verse, Proverbs 24:15-16. This is in the Passion Translation. My wife makes fun of me because I have all these different translations. This is the NIV, but it's interesting to see the different words and the different patterns and the different writers and how they speak to me in different ways. So this is through the Passion. Listen up, you wicked, irrelevant ones. Don't harass the lovers of God, and don't invade their resting place. For the lovers of God may suffer adversity and stumble 7 times, which is the number of completion, 7. But they will continue to rise over and over and over and over again. But the unrighteous ones, are brought down by just one calamity and will never be able to rise again. That tells me that if you're a Christian man, that song, it's like, get knocked down, get up again. You're going to get up again. You're going to get up again. You're going to get up. Captain America, he always gets up, right? I grew up watching Marvel. He always gets up. And as a Christian man, that's what it is. No matter whether it's a death in the family or unexpected events in your life, if you are reading the Word and you're with your accountability partners, you are going to be able to get through it. You're going to get up 7 times, more times than 7 times, over and over and over again. That is that is why it is so important when you are in that season of defeat, that you start to build that perseverance, you start to build that character, because you're going to get knocked down. There's no question about that. The walk with Christ is simple, but it's not easy. It's simple. You follow his way, which is basically to love people and love God. If you boil it down, that's simple, but it ain't easy. Have you ever tried to love somebody that didn't like you? It's not easy, you know? It's not easy. I'm blessed with good in-laws, so I don't have that story, but I know some people that struggle with that. Thank God I'm not one of them. What does excellence look like? So we know that the Bible kind of tells us there's going to be suffering. It's going to lead to perseverance. It's going to build character, which is a moral man. What does it look like now in today's world? Well, going back. Well, actually, quick side note. I think we should start bringing our Bibles back to church. I'm a young man. The phones are great. You can have a lot of stuff on your phone, but you can have more than just your Bible on the phone, okay? I think as a strong Christian, excellent man, you should start bringing this thing back. I want my wife to see me carrying this. I might not even open at church, but most times I try to, because you know what I'm doing? I'm making sure the pastor's actually reading the right word out of this thing. Because just because I'm up here don't mean I know a lick about anything, okay? I'm in an elevated position. This is all just, this means nothing. What really means, am I talking out of this or not? Yeah, that's right. And you're not going to know that if you don't bring your word. And the scary thing, I'm not going to get into politics, but digital stuff can be changed. If you ever read 1984, digital stuff can be changed. We're seeing that now. We're seeing books that were printed and then now are digital, and they're changing words and meanings and everything to not offend people now. Well, what's going to keep them from changing the Bible one day? So keep your physical word. And I'm a young man telling you that. Daniel is a great example of someone that lived an excellent life in the Old Testament. He was consistent. It says in 6:4, his enemies searched for grounds to accuse him, and they found none. Not because he was perfect. I assume Daniel was not perfect. He was a man. But because he was faithful and trustworthy for decades across multiple kings, a pagan empire that would have made it easy to compromise. Pagans were crazy. They were crazy. And, we have a lot of pagan stuff going on today. So you have to stay grounded. And when the decree came to ban prayer to anyone other than the king, Daniel didn't change his routine. He kept praying 3 times a day, windows open, same as always. We don't have kings for, these days, but we got presidents some people worship. We have, and here's the thing, coming from a young person, I think most people my age, we care about politics, but we care if you're being authentic or not. Yeah. That's what we care about, because we've been fed so much. Everything's fake. I mean, everything is fake. I have to check an ingredient list to see if the thing I'm eating is real. You know what I mean? Everything is fake. So we care about, are you being authentic? And if you're in church, politics are great. Christians should be involved in politics. But are you a citizen of the kingdom? That's what I care about. It don't matter what aisle you're on. Are you a citizen of the kingdom? So Daniel, he didn't care what the king was doing or what they told him to do. He kept praying. That's what he did. 3 times a day, windows open, same as always. His excellence wasn't performance for an audience. No one saw this. It was a private habit maintained regardless of the cost. That's the whole thesis in one man. Excellence isn't the absence of failure. It's decades of unglamorous, consistent faithfulness. And it always glamorous, y'all. Staying faithful through hard challenges in life. It's not always glamorous. Not everyone's going to see it. Not everyone's going to say, oh, man, you're doing a good job. And a lot of times, the only time you get feedback from your accountability partners is like, hey, you messed up, Sometimes they don't tell you, you're doing good. But if you have a good accountability, they will. They will tell you you're doing a good job. Again, back to the Bible, Colossians 3:23 says, "Put your heart and soul into every activity you do as though you are doing it for the Lord himself and not merely for others. For we know that we will receive an award and inheritance from the Lord as we serve the Lord Yahweh." And if you're doing stuff for God, like I mentioned my government job that can be very challenging, I try to keep that context of Colossians 3:23. If I'm working hard for him and I'm working hard for my wife and I'm working hard to build my family, it makes it a lot easier to be excellent in that environment. If you have a job that you don't like and your manager's, there's a million reasons why you don't like your job. But if you're doing that work in the mindset of, I'm doing this for God, it's a lot easier to remain in excellence. Get it? Got it. Get it? Okay. A biblically excellent man leads imperfectly at times. He is honest in his work. He serves his community. He admits his wrongs. He encourages other men, and he is consistently growing spiritually. So let's look back at Titus, where we started. As an elder or a leader, we're all leaders. It doesn't matter your title. It doesn't matter if you've ever been on a pulpit or not. You are a leader. You're a leader of your house. You're a leader at your work. You're a leader to your coworkers. You're a leader to everyone. You should be. A leader must be blameless, faithful to his wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild and disobedient. And since an overseer manages God's household, he must be blameless. And it goes into that list of what to do, what not to do. Well, what does blameless mean? I got to find the definition because I don't remember it off the top of my head. I think I have it in here, actually. I have it in my physical. Look at that. Blameless means morally sound, simple, gentle, complete. If you look up blameless in Hebrew, that's what it means. It is someone whose inner heart matches their outward actions. So at first we thought that meant perfection, right? I did. But in reality, it means exactly what we've been talking about. It is that bottom level layer of going through suffering, going through perseverance, and character and blameless sound really similar. Again, character set means moral backbone, integrity, proven reliability. Blameless means morally sound, simple, gentle, complete. That's very similar. So if you go through that, you go through defeat, you go through perseverance, you get your character, then you can be a blameless leader. You don't have to be a perfect leader. The word sin is thought to be an old archery term, and it means to miss the mark. Now, there's some theological debate on if that's true or not. Sin is complicated. But if you look at the root, it means to miss the mark. That's what sin means. When you do end up missing the mark, and we all do every single day, at some aspect of your life, you miss the mark every day. We're humans. We're not perfect. You have to get up again and try again, shoot the foul shot again, talk to your boss again, try it again, shoot that arrow again, recalibrate and shoot that arrow again. And you'll start hitting your foul shots, you'll start hitting the target, but you have to be willing to try new things and, again, go through that uncomfortable season that it could fail, you could be defeated, but you have to go through that. According to what I have found, in order to be that blameless leader, you have to go through these things. Paul isn't asking for a perfect man in Titus. He's asking for a proven one. Romans, James, and Proverbs just told us how a man gets proven, not by avoiding defeat, but by going through it enough times that it provides or produces something in him. It produces perseverance, character, the very thing Paul says is a good leader. I thought about this morning on the way here. One advantage of having a longer drive is I get to think, sometimes too much. And one thing I've heard over the years is that the Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth. And as someone in marketing and advertising, I think, wow, why didn't I come up with that? Like, that's such a cool way to put it. But I think that's wrong. I do. I know it's a cool way to say it, but I think that's wrong. After thinking about it, I don't think it's true. the idea of instructions before you leave earth means that you have to wait to experience the goodness of heaven. But you can experience intimacy with the Father right now. Right now. You don't have to wait to die. You just waste a lifetime if you do that. Don't wait. Do it now. This is instructions for right now. If you're not living in, you could have heaven on earth right now if you're intimate with the Father. And the way you get to that is through what we've been talking about today, to be an excellent man. If you don't hear anything else today, please hear this. This is not about works. You cannot work yourself into a relationship with Christ. This is how to be the best version of yourself, maybe, but this is not how you are saved, or this is just not about that. You have to establish a relationship with Jesus first, and Jesus is what makes you excellent at the end of the day. He gave us some instructions here to be different than everybody else, be holy, right, set apart, but without him, it doesn't matter. So you have to have a relationship with him first. And I guarantee you cannot do this alone. You need other men in your life that will help you through a season of suffering, defeat, just like the video. Again, I said earlier, sometimes you're the dude crawling on the back. Sometimes you're the dude on the back. A good accountability group will help you through seasons of defeat, whether it's you lost your job, you're going through struggle with lust, whatever it may be. Your guys should get you through that. And it's impossible alone. I've tried it. It doesn't work. I've heard so many people tell me that you are who you hang around. So make sure that you stack your inner circle with men that you want to become and that they're pursuing excellence as well. If you're hanging out with, and we're called to minister to people, but if you're hanging out with people that are not pursuing excellence, you're going to get dragged right down with them. I guarantee it. Proverbs 27:12 says iron sharpens iron. That we all know that. Iron sharpens iron, and that takes friction. You have to beat the heck out of a sword to sharpen it, right? You get an angle grinder and you're sharpening a mower blade, there's sparks going everywhere. It ain't easy. So ironing sharpens iron is not supposed to be easy. If it weren't for my middle school basketball teammates pushing me to improve my foul shots, I would have stayed like Shaquille O'Neal and never hitting a shot in my life. They held me accountable, and I know they wanted to not run. That was their reason behind motivating me to get better. But if it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't have been defeated. And you have to be able to try new things. And you might lose at those new things. And when my dad told you earlier that I had a computer ripped apart, I had no idea what I was doing when I was 12 years old. I just wanted to know how a computer worked, and I wanted to know how to build one. And that computer actually still works today, 10 years later, 12, 14, a long time later. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was ripping it apart to figure it out. I was Googling. That was before AI, and I could have failed easily. And I've learned a lot since then, and that's really the best. Everyone's different, but if you just jump into something, especially with people that are going to support you, you have to learn somehow. But you have to have in the back of your mind that you're probably going to mess up. You're going to be defeated. You're going to fail. But that just plays right into how you become a more moral man. So if you're thinking about starting a small group, just do it. You're not going to be perfect. If you can lead other men, then do it. It doesn't have to look like a life group traditionally does. Maybe you guys go out to eat. Maybe, I don't know what you want to do, but just try it. You'll learn what works and what doesn't, right? But you can't chase perfectionism because that's going to get you nowhere. You're going to just stay at home all day and do nothing. So here's a couple of tangible action items you can take with you today. Identify one area you're chasing perfection instead of progression and name it. Maybe that's you leaders who aren't letting us young people operate at a high level in your ministry or work. Just because someone is young doesn't mean they need to be behind a computer working the sound system, right? Just because they know how to operate a computer. I guarantee they know a lot more stuff than just how to run a computer. Bring them out. Let them talk and pour into them, right? Identify one man or group of men who can sharpen you in that area that you're trying to chase perfection in, and let them show you how to chase progress in that area. And then commit one small act of Christ-likeness this week that you might fall short of, but do it anyway. Just show up, do it. Reps, right? Over and over and over. And you'll get the formula down. You'll figure out what works and what doesn't work. So thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak. If you have any questions about any of the scriptures that I went over or the definitions of the words that I was used, come find me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. But that's all I got for today.